Hello everyone, welcome back to Community CPA YouTube channel. Today's conversation is about June 5th, last Friday's stock market crash. This is an interpretation for small business owners. When you see market going in that direction, being that way, what does that mean to you? For small business owner, the stock market is a leading indicator of a capital availability and a consumer sentiment, not a direct reflection of your daily local cash flow. A crash like last week means that capital availability is going down. If you want to borrow money, that availability is shrinking. Also means the consumer sentiment is weaker because inflation is rising. The price is going up. The purchase power is going down. I'll guide you through navigating the immediate noise of a stock market crash and focusing on practical tactical defense and offense. If you turned on the news on Friday, you probably saw a sea of red. The stock market suffered its sharpest drop of the year. NASDAQ dropped over 4% and S&P 500 fell more than 2.6%. The headlines sound terrifying, but as a small business owners, we need to separate Wall Street panic from Main Street reality. The root cause of this crash isn't triggered by a definition of falling economy, but rather is by a overwhelming labor market demand. The employer added 172,000 jobs in May of 2026, but more than double of what the economist who stays in the high-rise building predicted. The business are fighting over employees. That's the reality in here in this country. So a booming job market means a sticky inflation caused by tariff tax mess up, the Strait of Hormuz war, and this will stay. The sticky inflation will remain sticky because of the job market booming. And this signals that the Federal Reserve, so the economists understood that if that is the case, the Federal Reserve is highly likely to keep interest rate elevated high. Wall Street representing those large companies, right? They survive on borrowing. And because the cheap borrowing cost aren't returning to them anytime soon. So the company have to raise their product price. Inflation will continue to elevate. You got more new hires, people get more pay and they spend, and then there's not enough product. So the price goes up, inflation goes up. What actually happened is companies' stock price went down because their profit margin is shrinking and your Federal Reserve couldn't lower the interest rate, so their borrowing cost a lot. Because companies were anticipating the Federal Reserve to lower their interest rate, so their borrowing cost can go down, but mostly not going to happen. Now, by looking at the labor market news, in May, looking at the stock market reacting to it. So this is really what happened right now. So how does that directly impact small businesses? Remember, we are small businesses. What happened on the trading floor is the macro economy to us, not something that directly impact your pocket at this time. Of course, you might have invested in some companies and you already suffered loss last Friday. But that is not about your business operation, right? That is about the cash you have with you that you didn't use for your business and you put on the market. Now you suffered loss. So let's put that aside. Of course, that make you not happy, but we are here trying to interpret the market with your business operation. Friday's crash should make you aware that the capital availability is continue to be a struggle for all businesses, including the small ones. So now if you want to borrow money, the interest is not going to drop. It's going to be high. Traditional bank loans, line of credit, SBA finance will remain expensive. Securing new debt right now requires flawless credit profiles that you must have and a higher debt service coverage ratio. As a small business owner, you will be impacted when you want to borrow money. So this is really what the stock market crash should immediately reflected on how you feel on your skin. And you know that if you are a business that trying to get loan, And you better try fast because your lender might change their mind because of stock market crash. Friday's crash should make you aware of your large contract with large business are under reconsideration. B2B relationship might change. Your consumer behavior might change when public portfolio take a hit. Just like you bought stock, you take a hit. Your customer also bought stock, take a hit. For consumers, that means they will withhold their spending. So stock market crash will directly reflect on the spending behavior of your client. Depends on what kind of business you are in. If you are not in the life essential business, you are in the luxury kind of optional spending business, yes, you will be impacted. Corporation will tighten their corporation spending. Discrepancy money they send out, they will shrink. So if they are not funding nonprofit organizations, and you know why? Because this stock market crash is having big impact on them. Not because their company stock price go down, it's also because they cannot borrow with a lower cost. They have more to spend on to service the debt. So their profit margin shrinks, their stock price drops. It is a bad circulation. The biggest change to your business right now isn't the Federal Reserve not lowering the business borrowing rate or NASDAQ is crashing more. It is really the reactionary freezing. People who has the money are not spending across all sectors. Every business is big or small, and every consumer, whoever you see on the street. So do not panic though right now because it is a just happened event. Crash always die down and the economy always go up. This is up and down and it just goes as however it wants to be, right? So as a small business owners, you just want to understand why the stock market crashed this time and knowing that borrowing is going to be hard, knowing that your consumer might come by differently with a different behavior because what business you are in, do not panic. Cut your expenses and your marketing budget, cut it. Do not help your production activity, right? Those profit generating activities still need to happen, but do not make emotional choices just based on 48 hours trading result. Just give yourself a little bit more time to react to this crash. The operational blueprint is something I want to give to the small business owners. You need to take the market signals, move defensively and quickly. And I summarize into the 3 R's: reevaluate, review, and retain. Reevaluate your liquidity stress. Test cash reserves for 3 to 6 months of a fixed operational cost. Those are the costs you cannot go without. You have labors, you have to pay payrolls. Make sure you have 3 to 6 months of that expense. And in making sure that you do not need credit so desperately, and you do not want to get into high interest debt traps. Just make sure you stay away from borrowing if you could. But if you are already in the process of borrowing money, get it done quickly. So that is the best way to react to today's environment. Review vendor terms. Take out all your contract and audit major recurring software subscriptions, supply chains, terms, drop operational overhead to preserve net profit margin. Review your vendor terms. Even if you don't review, those companies who can sustain would come back to you goes, I need to change the contract. So that is critical. So we reevaluate our liquidity, we review our contract, and we retain top talent, which means that secure your core employees using performance incentives rather than base raises, because you cannot afford to give base raises, but you can do performance incentives. Stabilize service delivery while managing wage push inflation. Inflation goes up. Anticipation of wage increase is in the air. As a business owner, you really don't have a lot of choice to say that, oh, I'm tuned off and I don't care about what happened out there. No, you do. Because your employee cannot survive with the dollars you pay for them. They will find other places. Remember, this crash was caused by what? By overwhelming labor market shortage. We need to execute defense quickly so we can play offense. First, look at your cash. Like I said, if the interest rates stay high, cash is your cheapest line of credit. Don't borrow. Use the cash you have in your back pocket and trim the fat. Okay? Revisit your vendor terms. Audit your reoccurring expense this weekend. Okay. And third, lock in your critical team members, understand your best people, and give yourself a well prepared plan to reserve talent, turning chaos into market share. That is something I want to tell small business owners. Don't look at the stock market crash and feel bad, worried about future. Do one thing, turning chaoses into market share. Small business can move a lot faster than the bigger ones. And it takes a huge effort to move to AI operation at the large company. But for small entities, you can adopt AI overnight. While others panic and pull back, smart operators, small business owners look for opportunities. Historically, market turn down are exactly the moment when small business can aggressively steal the market share from the slow bloated competitors. Make sure you do that. Look for stressed competitors who is looking to exit. And that is your way to buy in workforce, buy in their employees so their employees can become yours. At the same time, buy their company. Making sure that you look at return of investment. Every penny you spend, you want to make sure it give you money back. Look at cost saving and indispensable utility to match the shifting consumer psychology. Double down on value. So the consumer only spend on things that is save their money, make them money, and solve critical problems, right? So business owners, you must be aware of that tendency. That is a shift when stock market is crashing. So this is cool, this is nice, high quality, that becomes secondary. They're shifting from this is needed and this can make me money, this saves your money, makes your money, and is essential become the key for consumer to spend money with you. So think of that really hard. And of course, if you are a software company, you cannot pivot into a grocery store. The stock market constantly swinging between over optimism and excessive fear. Investors goes from thinking everything is amazing to thinking everything is fall apart. You want to always understand the stock market up or down into actionable things for your small business. So there is never a logic rationale to predict the swings on stock market in today's political environment. And you might got insider information, so you know it ahead of time. But without insider information, there wouldn't be a sure win for you. Your small business is built on real cash flow, real client relationship, and local execution. So build your cash reserve. Keep your operational expenses lean and stay aggressive while your competitor is falling. Keep running your business. Even if you're making less money today than yesterday. Has been this way for the past a year and a half. As long as you can sustain, be focused. All right. So this is our website, communitycpa.com. And you notice that we have this on board with us button. If you click that button, and you will sign up with us 24/7 whenever you have time through this button, then we will get back to you and get you connected with the right team member to help you out. So we have 6 partners, 2 managers listed on our website. 6 partners were all in different area of practice. So Dr. Hao and one of the partner, and he is legal compliance and the immigration side of work. And Dan Kim, another partner, he's in charge of client service of market development. Juan, specialty in payroll accounting, sales tax. Song, he is our attest partner, handles audit. And Derek is our IT network architecture and IT partner. Tiffany is our tax manager. Eileen is our accounting and audit manager. And this is YouTube channel. We always deposit all of our webinars into here. And I hope that you will subscribe to our channel so you always get notified what we have for you next. And also, if you like our video, give a thumb up. Last, no responsibility disclaimer. Of course, All our webinars are for educational purposes, and it is not the tax, legal, accounting advice because those advice need to give to you customized. We need to know who you are before we can finalize what is the advice. And be sure to review any decision with your CPA, your attorney, your tax advisor, or with community CPA before you put that in action. All right, I'll talk to you again